My turn. Hi guys, this is Awesome Joe, and I hope that you guys love my outfit, my cowl. I mean, it's an actual cowl, not from the movie, but I mean, it's Batman. So I just wanted to first of all apologize for the way I behaved during my first viewing of Justice League. I didn't like the film at first because I rated it a 27, and I know that a lot of people weren't very happy about that, and um, it was. I kind of broke one of my own rules, which was never get too close to the fire because you're going to end up burnt. And of course I did, and it affected my way of viewing the movie. So I decided to go ahead and give it a second chance and go and watch it and to enjoy it and to have more of a better understanding as to what this movie is really all about. Because quite normally, before I go and watch a movie that's first released into theaters, I try to avoid everyone else's reviews, try to avoid Rotten Tomatoes' percentages, and so on and so forth. Because if I were to know if people either liked it or did not like it, it's going to affect my viewings of the movie, and my opinion won't be as fair as normal. So that's what happened. I hope that you guys forgive me and continue to watch my videos and participating in my sweepstakes because it means a great deal to me. Again, I apologize, and I would really love it very much if you guys continue to watch my review towards Justice League. So now that you guys are here and you guys forgive me, hopefully we can go ahead and continue on with this review of Justice League. So Justice League is, of course, the return of Zack Snyder doing another one of the DC Extended Universe films. And, of course, we all know that there have been several complications into having to making this film. And one of them is Zack Snyder leaving in the middle of production because of his own personal reasons. And in come another director, which is Joss Whedon, who happens to do some of the reshoots of this film. And I am very much okay with that, but the fact is that when I went to go watch it, I'm not really basing everything off of my first time watching it. It's more of my second time going to see it, and I really do feel like the reshoots weren't really. To be honest with you, I didn't feel like I didn't feel like I enjoyed this movie as much as intended to. It had more flaws than it did have positives. And I wanted to love this movie. Don't get me wrong. I wanted to love this movie so much, and I did get to enjoy it a lot more the second time. It was really enjoyable. I had a lot of fun with it. And but the thing is that the scenes continue to jump too much to very different situations, you know, because we, of course, for starters, we have newcomers like Aquaman, The Flash, Cyborg, and all of their different characters are brought into it, including Batman's Commissioner Gordon into it as well. And it gets so. It's not confusing, it's very understandable, but it just really all didn't fit. The whole editing of every one of these scenes, it felt like I was watching 5 different movies at the same time. So that's what really drew me off from the movie. Like I said, I enjoyed it very much, but there's just so many negatives about this movie that really put me in a position of wondering if the DC Extended Universe is going to continue being a success or they're just going to kill it because they've gone already so far in that it just feels like the universe is being a little bit too rushed. And I don't know if it's Marvel's to blame, but you know, it's really just Warner Brothers and DC that are really rushing this too fast because they want to catch up and stuff like that. And I'm not basing this off of anything from Marvel. I don't like to compare different movies to a specific movie that I'm reviewing because I don't really feel like it's fair for the movie having a low ratings because of comparisons. So I just don't think that's fair. So I'm not really comparing at all whatsoever. It is one of my rules, and but Justice League is an anticipated film, but brought me to a massive disappointment. Um, and I these characters, these newcomers like Jason Momoa as Aquaman and Ray Fisher as Cyborg and Ezra Miller as the Flash, they all. I wish that they all had their own films before this whole thing occurred, because when I was watching their scenes, like how I said, it looks like several different films all put together. I wish that those scenes were actually their own movies, so we can see them returning and having a better understanding as to why is it they are in this position in the film. Like, say for example, Wonder Woman. We got to see Wonder Woman's origin story before Justice League. So when you see Wonder Woman returning, and you just have a better understanding for her character as to who she is and what she stands for, and then of course her homeland, the Mascara, where she originated from. You understand that you visited there before, so it was great having to go back there, return there, and see the sequences that into a better masking area. So that's how I felt about it. And like, say for example, for Arthur Curry, aka Aquaman's storyline, when I saw him and Atlantis for the first time in this movie, it just really, I got a little bit confused, and because they were talking about some certain sequences that haven't even occurred yet on the screen, and it just really threw me off, because for starters, I don't know anything about Aquaman. So when I saw Aquaman, and Aquaman did great. I mean, these guys did a tremendous job. They owned their positions as these characters. So I'm gonna point that out, okay? It's just the direction that it was taking them to. I didn't really understand. I was so confused. I was really blinded throughout the whole entire movie. And it's just, I just really do wish that these guys had their own films before this. I really do wish that they didn't rush so much into it. And it was just a very confusing moments there for me. And then we get Amber Heard as Mira. She looks gorgeous. I think that she did okay. And we get Billy Crudup, who's really very much in most of Zack Snyder's films. And it's just, and then we get, of course, the returning cast members of Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot, Jeremy Irons, Amy Adams, Diane Lane, and of course Henry Cavill as Superman. Now let's go ahead and talk about the facts that there is no spoilers here, that Superman does return. But for what meanings? I really don't understand for what meanings, because they kept it, they made it as seeming like they were keeping it as a secret that he was returning, even though we already knew he's part of the Justice League team. But yet you see posters, you see trailers of these 5 people: Batman, Wonder Woman, Flash, Aquaman, Cyborg, and we don't really bring up the whole thing of Superman. And I feel like the whole thing about this story was that, how would the world be if the world was under attack and there's no Superman? So I feel like it was up to these 5 to do that job. So, and I think that they really cheated their way out by having to bringing him back their own way. I didn't like how he returned. I really did not. It didn't really feel like, oh great, we're having Superman back and all that. But I just wish that there was, I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I just wish things were turned around a different way. And I don't want to give out any spoilers, because this movie was just released, so I want everybody to have the chance to watching this movie and having their opinions about this, rather than deferring from my own. But it was just complicated, very complicated. And then we have this new villain called Steppenwolf, and he is, I didn't like him. I really didn't like him. He wasn't a very memorable villain. He was pretty much what any villain is. Just not one that you would really care about after this film. I mean, when he's not even on the screen for quite some time, you really don't care about him. You don't care about missing him at all. So what was the whole entire point of the whole thing? So it really just threw me off. I really do wish we had a better villain into this film. That's what DC, and I'm gonna say this, that DC and Marvel do have something in common, which is they have a very bad habit of having to portray good villains in their films. And I would have to exclude General Zod. I think General Zod was a lot better. But otherwise, I really didn't like this guy. I really didn't. So I kind of put myself in a position of thinking, okay, maybe he's just the first wave of this massive army that is bringing us into the even bigger villain, which is of course Darkseid. And I don't really think we're going to be seeing Darkseid for some time later on into the future. So, but Steppenwolf wasn't really a memorable character. He really disappointed me. I really do wish that they went more deeper in. Like, he's a CGI character, and really the CGI is just, it's just noticeable. It's there, but you notice it. Like, say, Henry Cavill's mustache, of course, it's there. Everybody knows because he's filming for Mission Impossible 6, and he refused to shave it off. So, of course, they had to CGI that. And I just one of the many things that I did love is hearing Danny Elfman's Batman score returning to this, but it was only for a few minor seconds. I was kind of expecting to hear a really good theme pop up in an action scene of Batman kicking ass. So, but it didn't really happen. It only popped up for a couple of seconds in a sequence that was really a good approach. And not only that, but we also get John Williams' original Superman score back in the 1970s with Christopher Reeve. And they're just a little minor hints there. They just throw it in there, and you notice them, but they're only for a very minimal time. So that's a plus. And of course, as you well know, usually in the majority of movies, they have an after credits scene, and DC tried in the beginning to avoid that, but unfortunately now they are beginning to start doing that. We did get one with Suicide Squad, but now with Justice League, we're having not one but two after credits scenes. So if you guys haven't watched the movie yet, go ahead and go and watch it, and then after, when it's over, do not leave the theater. Stay there, stay all the way into the ending of the credits, because it is a huge surprise. It's something it will get you excited to see what is going to happen next. And I really admire Ben Affleck's portrayal as Batman, and I would really love to see more of him playing Batman, but unfortunately he is coming to the terms of wanting to quit being the Dark Knight and having to pass the torch on to someone else who is more fully capable of succeeding into this task. I would really love to see more of him, but he says that he wants to leave on good terms and in the appropriate way that will get the audiences to accept whoever's going to play the new Batman. So we'll see what happens from there. So and on Rotten Tomatoes, they rated it a 37%, and 37% at first to me was a percentage that I agreed with, but after having to see this movie the second time, the first time I rated it at 27%, so after the second time I did enjoy it a little bit more and picked it up very much to a good 58%. I know it still seems very low, but it's better than 27%. Like I said, there was a lot of negatives to this thing, and this movie is really going to separate so many of the fans, whether of deciding whether if this is going to be a good movie or a bad movie. So it really depends on the box office to see how much this movie is going to make. Unfortunately, I think that it's going to make a lot of money, and we will be seeing the DC Extended Universe moving forward with more films. Of course, I know Aquaman's coming up next, sometime next year, so we'll see how that goes. But otherwise, that's my review. That's my ratings. If you guys have a different opinion, you guys have any different comments, complaints, concerns towards this movie and my review, video, I completely understand. So go ahead and comment me in the section down below and we'll have an awesome conversation about that. So I'm Awesome Joe, you guys. Thank you guys so much for having to take the time to watching my video. You guys are a huge inspiration to me. It encourages me to continue doing my videos. So thanks guys so much, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys. Thanks.